Yeah.
I'm like a piece of naughty pine over here. All right, we need something clever to open the show. Got anything clever, Steve, to say?
Just made me think of Tim Robinson. You sure about that?
You sure about that?
You sure about that?
You sure about that?
Sure about that?
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
Are you sure about that?
I'm sure about that, Steve.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast. Later in this episode, we're going to talk about the new interim Gibson CEO.
Does Gibson deserve a new CEO?
I don't even know what their old CEO did.
He wore leather jackets and blue jeans.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. He's just a cool guy. His name was JC, and he was cool.
But first,
we're going to talk about a Bongcaster.
This was sent by Nicholas Lancaster.
The Bongcaster sent by Nicholas Lancaster.
This is, where's the text? Give me some text.
What's your text?
Brand, Glassical. Handmade glass electric guitar bong. The guitar work fine. Come with stand, wall mounts, and case. Okay, the guitar works fine, but does the bong work fine? How do you clean this bong? I mean,
I have no idea. I like full disclosure. In my adult life, I have become a cannabis user. I don't enjoy smoke. I only like smoking my meats. I'm not a bong user. I'm not a smoker of any type. So I honestly have no idea what I'm looking at here. I have no experience with bongs. So comment section, light up the comment section. Let us know what you think of this bong. Hopefully, the narcs aren't going to report commenters.
This is that's actually
to local law enforcement for knowing things about bongs.
Part of my problem with this is I don't actually. Every time I watch somebody smoke out of a bong, I just get more confused about what's going on.
Well, I understand the physics of it.
I don't understand the physics of it.
You don't understand the physics of it? Okay. So
I have only smoked via the cigarette.
Okay.
The cigarette that contains what you would put in a bong.
But Steve, you're a scientist. You're surrounded by beakers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't give it a quick look and know exactly what's going on?
Nope.
Okay, so there's a pipe.
Yeah.
And there's a part that you put in there where you load the plant, you load the flower, and then there's a part you put your mouth on, and that seals it. Mm-hmm. And then you suck air through the pipe with your mouth, and that pulls the air through the little pipe that's got the flower as you're burning it, and that fills the pipe with smoke. Mm-hmm. And then you pull out the little trombone mouthpiece, the trumpet mouthpiece, where you've burnt the flower, and that gives you the ability to suck in all that smoke at once.
Is that what the point is?
That's the whole point.
That's the point.
It's like it's shotgunning a joint. That's I've never done it. I've seen it done, but I'm not interested.
I've vaped it. I've pre-rolled it. I've traditional, looks like somebody did it in, right there on the spot, but I've never partaken via bong.
I just use boring little pills to help me fall asleep at night.
I've also done the brownie.
But this guy wants $7,500 down from $10,000.
That's pretty ridiculous.
That's a pretty high price.
I wouldn't pay more than $420 for this.
That would be an appropriate price. This guy has got to be high to think that anyone's going to pay. I don't know. Maybe this is worth $7,500. If it is, I'm guessing it's because of the glasswork. I mean, there's a spider in there. There's a glasswork spider. It looks like a delicate piece of glass. I don't even know how this functions as a pipe. But I really do imagine that the guitar portion of it itself really doesn't have anything to do with the price of this. Also, this guy's selling what he thinks is a $10,000 guitar on Facebook Marketplace. This dude's like, he should keep the guitar because clearly he's been using it. Are people buying $10,000 bongs that are shaped like guitars on Facebook Marketplace? Like, this feels like a cop trap. Like,
I could not. Well, I'm looking for. Google does not come up with.
I bet that's exactly what this is.
Classical guitar.
I bet you, like your local fuzz busted a drug dealer, and they happen to have this in their collection, and they're like, I bet we can get more drug dealers if we post this on Facebook Marketplace. And the local drug dealers who have all this money will line up to buy it, and we'll just, grab them one by one.
There's a video of this guy. I found it. The reason I couldn't find it is because the company's called Glassical Creations. There's a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he looks like. I'm not surprised at all. I don't know.
Nick Agert. Oh yeah, there he is. He looks like he just walked out of the Fish concert.
And apparently they are based in North Carolina, and he makes these in some kind of obviously he's a glass blower.
Obviously he's a glass blower. Like I don't doubt his glass making abilities at all.
Yeah, it's like very impressive, the glass work.
There's nothing visually off-putting about the guitar itself. He's used some sort of bird's eye maple as the neck material. He's doing like a Starcaster shape as the headstock. I feel like the logo really isn't working on the headstock. It's so small.
It's too small for especially for this what's that? Starcaster, built whatever.
Also, there's not a single pot leaf logo anywhere on this. How is anyone supposed to know what it's for? The body shape is pretty wild. It's got this like crazy like saw blade tribal tattoo kind of energy to it.
It's got dual EMGs, so it's going to be hot when you're ready to blaze that solo.
Kind of a Telecaster layout here, which is interesting.
These are possibly the EMG Telecaster set, which is a pretty good pickup set.
I'm sure they're just normal Strats, but
it could be Strats.
There's no middle pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's strong enough to wear? Like, I'd be so worried wearing a guitar made out of thin glass pipe like that. Like, is it? Maybe I don't know enough about thin glass pipe, but I would be so worried about this.
The switch for this is in the glass, the pickup switch.
Right.
So presumably it's gonna hold up.
Is it some sort of fancy glass that I don't know about?
I've been staring at this for a while, trying to figure out like what style of music you play on this, because the obvious like reference is like you gotta play reggae on this, but this doesn't look like reggae. But what it does kind of look like is like stoner doom.
It doesn't look like regular reggae. It doesn't look like Bob Marley.
Right.
It looks like white boy reggae. Oh. It looks like,
I don't want to talk about white boy reggae. You go to
SDSU, you grab any random like 20-year-old dude with a beanie and a hacky sack, and you show them this guitar and they'll be into it, Right.
It's that tough spot where it's like, like, is somebody like, if you met someone and they're like, I really like reggae, and you're like, well, who's your favorite reggae artist? And they say Bob Marley. Do you kind of feel like you don't really like reggae?
But that's tough. That's tough because it's like, of course you like Bob Marley.
No, I know.
But then like you're expecting a deeper cut, you know.
It's like if you say like, oh, I'm really into 60s music, and you're like, well, who's your favorite artist from the 60s? And you're like, the Beatles. It's like, well, obviously they're arguably the best artist of the 60s.
It's like I'm a big fan of early rock and roll. Well, who's your favorite? Elvis. Yeah. Like, okay, you don't have any deeper cuts. It would
be a lot more interesting if you picked like,
we are criticizing a fictitious, hypothetical stoner.
No, what I'm saying is like the person who you're saying this guitar is for, they're listening to Iration, they're listening to Revolution.
You officially know more reggae bands than I do.
Well, those are the two as far as I'm aware. I don't know that these bands are full of white people, but I know a lot of white people who are into these bands.
I am, for the record, I'm not against white people being in reggae bands.
Yeah, the Police are great.
Which is totally different than white reggae.
How do you feel about UB40?
I'm fine with UB40.
Yeah.
How do I even define it? I would have to write like a thesis on
UB40.
No, on what I think white reggae is when I say white reggae.
What do you think white reggae is?
Because you can have white guys in a reggae band that capture the spirit,
right?
Like the original vibe of reggae, but then it's like, like the blues band from Ghost World.
Who do you
like that version of a reggae band?
Who do you think is the whitest reggae band? Stumped. I stumped you.
I don't know. Like I don't want to call out names right now. There was something on the radio like a year or two back that was really, really bugging me.
Oh, was it Magic?
How does that one go?
That's the Why You Gotta Be So Rude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
You know what?
Right.
Sorry guys. Sorry to tell you, Ryan, but Magic is from Canada.
Right, where authentic reggae comes from. It's not really fair that way either to like criticize where music comes from, because I listen to a ton of surf music that comes from Canada.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
all over the place. Music can come from anywhere, and like sincere versions of that music can come from. We're supposed to be talking about a bong guitar?
Yeah. Yeah. If you look up, like I said, Classical Creations, you'll find some more info about.
Do they have any prices on that website?
No, because it was just a guy.
It's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
And he'd rather not be?
I guess. I don't know. Oh, he's like selling some expensive items.
Yeah.
Smoke Signal Smoke Shop is the website it's going to. Am I 18?
You're not.
You could say that.
You are not 18.
What did we say this guy's name was? Nick? Where is it? There we go. Classical Creations. I'm trying to see if he has anything for sale right now. Dragon Koi Functional Guitar Pipe. He's got another one of these, $11,000.
So this is the new price at this. It might even be the guy listing his own guitar on Facebook
I think
Marketplace.
it is.
He's selling out of Austin, Texas. We don't actually see his.
Oh, this one here? Yeah, I'm not sure. This Smoke Signal Smoke Shop, I'm not sure where it's at.
Okay, let's talk about the
Ryan, this is a Koi themed
I see that
guitar. This is for you.
Clearly that's the one that I want.
This is the one.
I got fish.
It's the one that you want. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
It's just the one I want. Let's talk about the appropriate way to sell one of these, because it's not on Facebook Marketplace. I feel like you've got to take it to a trade show.
Trade show. You got to take out a half-page ad in High Times.
Yeah, it's going to cost you money to sell this.
You know what you do?
You have to get onto not guitar groups, but cannabis groups.
You got to go to like a San Diego reggae festival.
Set up a booth. You're only selling one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or hand out flyers. Hey, I'm selling this. You should check out my listing. I'd be afraid to try. Am I over imagining how delicate this must be?
Just don't drop it.
Are those tubes hollow, or do you think they're solid? They've got to be hollow.
I don't know.
No, they're solid. They've got to be solid is what I mean.
Some of them are hollow.
Well, yeah, the smoking parts of it are hollow, but I think the structural parts are solid because they're so small. They can't be hollow. This thing would be so delicate. Like, it's already got to be pretty dang delicate. Also, do you think the guy built this neck, or do you think he ordered it?
I think he ordered it.
I think he ordered it too. And that's the part where it's like you're paying for the bong.
It's a pretty neck.
Yeah, it's a pretty neck.
Obviously, you're paying for the glass work.
You're paying for the glass work.
It's a classical creation.
Right.
It's in the name.
Right. If you wanted a guitar, you'd go buy a guitar. If you wanted a bong that is a guitar, then you're buying this.
Exactly.
I think people should just buy guitars and then buy a separate bong.
Why did I cough on you?
I didn't know we needed to explore the motivation for you coughing.
You've
on
got
me.
tuberculosis now.
What?
I don't know.
I hope you, Steve. I hope you don't have tuberculosis.
Me too.
And I hope you didn't give it to me.
You're coughing
like You're coughing because you're new to bong ads.
Where did my pen go?
Oh, I might have taken
take
it.
my pen?
There you go.
Damn it, Ryan.
I've got another one over here. I got multiple pens, I think. I don't know. What we can't really, the guy is selling these brand new for that price. Well, this is actually a deal because it's $7,500 versus $10,000.
I don't think this is the seller. I don't think this is the manufacturer. I think this is a guy who
it's a resale situation.
How does this even work? Is weed legal in Texas? In my head, it's definitely not.
Weed doesn't have to be legal, but pipes can be legal.
Oh, okay.
It could be, it's a pipe. It's for smoking tobacco.
Before you all get all uppity, weed's legal in California. I don't really care what other states' laws are. I'm either going to get it or I'm not. For the most part, I'm not. So
it'll be legal there eventually because taxes.
Weed's actually not. It's legal in Menifee, but we have no dispensaries, and you can't grow it. So if you want it, you got to leave.
Is it illegal to grow it? Is it illegal to have a dispensary there?
They have not granted any licenses to business. I don't know that it's officially like. I don't know if there's a law against it, but there are laws against growing your own.
Right.
And in turn, they have not granted any business licenses to dispensaries.
I almost guarantee you there's someone in Menifee selling weed.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's also a shop like two more exits up the 215.
Right. I bet that if you drove about 10 minutes off the freeway, you would get
in any direction.
You would find a mobile home up on bricks somewhere,
and
the people inside would sell you just about anything that you want. Man.
Menifee's real close to meth country, so
that's what I'm getting at.
That's
I've been
different than weed.
I've been off the main drags back there quite a few times. I know how quickly that area turns into a different area.
It gets real rural, real fast.
Real rural, real fast.
You go on to someone's property and you got to be like, howdy.
You have to say howdy.
By law. It's
by
required.
law, yeah. They're howdy neighborhoods. Like you drive in and there's a sign that says better say howdy.
Yeah, or else.
Yeah.
In this house, we pray and we say howdy. You got anything else?
Hi, hello, howdy. That's the sign.
eat, pray, howdy.
Hugs, happiness, howdy. So,
what?
You're watching 60 Cycle Howdy.
If mama ain't howdy, ain't nobody howdy.
I don't know what the price of this should be. I don't know if this is a tempting price at $2,500 off. Bong aficionados, let us know.
I think the price should at least drop down to $4,200. Like, work that in there, or maybe it should be $7,420.
I think that's the way to go.
I think all of the prices should be increments.
Like if they need to lower the price, it should always be 420.
The next price drop should be to 6,420, and then if that doesn't sell, it should go to 5,420.
Right.
I've solved it.
You solved it, Steve. That's our only critique.
Yep.
All right, looking forward to reading everyone's comments. Next ad, or what are we doing now?
We're doing some housekeeping.
Housekeeping
is where we thank the folks who support this show monetarily through Patreon. Links below. Link is possibly right here, right now.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Ryan.
Did you know that every single episode of this year, and maybe for the indefinite future, we are awarding $25 gift cards to one lucky winner every episode.
Can we talk about
out of 3 ads? And that money comes from is from our Patreons.
That's true.
The Patreons fund us.
Okay.
Sending people $25 gift cards for sending us ads that make this show possible.
I was worried you weren't going to tie this together.
No, I was tying.
You did it.
Tight little bow.
That was a nice little bow there.
Yeah.
This week, we've got at the $1 level, Bethany Sell and Adam Slater. Thanks. At the $5 level, Michael Leaper? I'm not sure. And at the $10 level, Michael Collinson. At the $10 level, if you go through the posts, folks at the $10 and higher level, you'll find a link to my Facebook page. You can add me on Facebook and I'll get you into the inner circle, our little backdoor group, behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Group backstage. That's the word I was like, not backdoor.
If you want to talk
backstage.
trash about anyone on the internet, it's the place to be.
Yeah.
Because no one else is going to talk about it. I don't put anything on the internet, even in private groups, that you would ever want to have read back to you in the court of law.
I'll say that someone might screenshot it and send it to someone else.
If you don't want your spouse or, you know, someone on the Supreme Court to find out, then don't type it on the internet.
Yep. This episode, let's keep it rolling.
Sure.
This episode is brought to you by Bigger Pedals.
Ooh.
They made the Wacka. We got some posters to sign, apparently.
We do.
We're going to sign some posters. We're going to send those back. And then I believe after that, shipping should commence shortly thereafter.
On the posters, but I think these are shipping.
Oh.
I think they might have already started to ship. Like, people got anxious because people got shipping notices, and that was a little bit premature. I think they were just making the labels as they were boxing things, and they didn't realize the notifications were going out to people because they wanted to ship them all out at once. Also, Grant and Karen got, stuff was hitting the fan there a few different directions. But from what I understand, they're all good to go this week. They're shipping them out, so fingers crossed. Keep us updated. Post in the comments if you got yours already. If you have questions, then message us, I suppose, or message Grant and Karen over there at Bigger Pedals. But it's been a long time coming. Like, we crafted this idea. I say crafted, I mean crapped out this idea probably like 3 or 4 years ago for a boost pedal with 9 foot switches, and each foot switch represents like a like a tiny little boost. It's like 1.5 decibels. For each foot switch, and you just kind of mash your foot into it. It's got 9 foot switches.
that adds
it's
up.
got 9 LEDs.
9 times 1.5 is like almost 14.
Is it a joke product? Is it a real product? I don't know, but we sold out, and you guys at bottom are about to get them. So
yeah, this episode's also brought to you by. Let me finish this. Go follow Bigger Pedals on social medias.
Yes.
This episode's also brought to you by Pickup Music. Pickup Music. Let me read this first part, and then I'm going to tell you guys a story.
I want to hear your story.
Pickup Music is an online guitar learning platform that provides a structured learning experience for modern styles. The platform and the learning pathways are designed specifically for intermediate and advanced guitarists. Over 40,000 guitarists, including me, have used our platform.
It was 40,000, now it's 40,001.
To improve their skills and reach their musical goals. There's a lot more there. I basically started, I would say it's for like intermediate to advanced guitarists. I guess I'm intermediate.
You already have to know how to play guitar.
You have to at least I think know how to play guitar. I started with what I thought was a pretty rudimentary lesson that probably a lot of y'all are familiar with, which is the caged method or the caged system.
Find out that you don't actually know how to play guitar.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm learning. One of the things that I know is like a weakness of my playing is I get lost on the fretboard really easily. So caged is like a method of, it's like a way of thinking about the fretboard. So I go through this lesson. I did the first grade. It took me a little over a week. And then at the end, they give you some pieces that you can learn to like reinforce what you learned during the week. And you can film yourself doing it. And this is actually a thing that I think is a really cool feature. You can film yourself doing it, like playing whatever the piece they prepared, which was very hard because it was like single notes, like playing specific single notes for 2.5 minutes is very hard for me.
Wow.
And so I made the video and I sent it to them, and then they actually will watch the video. They say that it'll take about a week usually. For the purposes of this sponsorship, I got my feedback in like 4 hours.
Oh, special treatment, Steve?
But they were like really thorough with the with getting like basically watching the video, and I had some questions about my own performance, about things that I felt like were happening, and they were kind of like, they made very specific, gave very specific feedback on the video. So I think that's the thing that's really cool about it is usually you're doing a lesson and you're watching a video, and then you click a box that says, okay, I understand everything in this lesson. But in this one, like you get to the end of the lesson and you have the opportunity okay, I'm going to film myself and send it to them and be like, hey, what do you think I'm doing? That's like, or, you say this is uncomfortable for me. Hopefully they'll see that in the video, and then they can give you some direct feedback on how to work around that.
Well, what did they tell you?
So my thing is, I felt like I was losing time, and their comment was that they couldn't tell if I would it felt like it was on time the whole time, and they thought the reviewer, the feedback teacher, thought was really good. So, and then one of the things I said is I had trouble reading the tab, so I just had to memorize the entire thing, which is like a 30-40 second motif that you just play for 2.5 minutes. And I felt bad doing that. I was like, I should be sight reading the tabs to like stay in the time. And his kind of feedback was like, well, because the purpose of these lessons is to like get comfortable with the fretboard, it's like actually a little better to memorize it. So
there you go.
It's really cool.
That does sound cool. I'm actually not very familiar with the cage system. Like, I understand the basic concept of it's like the C shape, the A shape, the G shape, the E shape, and the D shape. Yeah. So going down the fretboard, and like the last note in this shape is where you would start on the next one, sort of thing.
So that was like part of it that I didn't. I just knew it was like, oh, you have a C, then you make a bar C, and you can move it all these different places. I didn't even realize that it's really all about roots. So like the fifth fret, or not the fifth fret, but like,
did you get back to your roots, Steve?
I did get back to my roots. So it's a lot of things that are tying in, like how the bass root of the C chord is also the bass root for the C chord. The C chord shape, C major bass note, is also the bass note for the A shape C major. And then the G shape C major, the middle note is shared with the A shape.
Right.
So that's why it's cage, because it's how these all like, if you can play a C shape to an A shape to a G shape to an E shape to a D shape. And then that actually gets you from the first position all the way to the 12th fret. Just working through these different shapes. So if you know those chords, you can basically, and again, like, this is probably really rudimentary for people who are like, well, I just shred pentatonics, go to town, like whatever. But for me, like, I never learned that way. So, or I just never learned those things. So now at least I feel like I have the start of some basics to be like, okay, if I'm in the key of C, I now know all of these different shapes of a C major chord. So I have a little more of a foundation for like, okay, if I want to play a solo that's going to move from the first position all the way to the 12th fret and back, I've got a lot of chord shapes that will fit within that framework. So
it sounds like you're figuring it out, Steve. It sounds like I need to spend some time with it. Honestly, I need to get the sign in from you and go check it out, because like I
gave it to you already.
I'll have to find where you gave it to me. Did you text it to me? Because if you did, I passed by it. You can give it to me again, right?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, I want to get in there and check it out, because I'm not really I'm kind of familiar with the concept of cage, but I'm not really aware of how to use it. You know?
Should do the neo funk or the neo soul lessons.
I probably should.
Yeah, you need a soul.
I need soul.
I don't know.
I'm soulless. All right.
Oh, let's do this next ad.
All right. This is a Headless Cyber Freak sent to us by Preston. I don't have his full name, just his first name.
Oh, this thing.
This thing. Is it really fair to call it headless is my question, because it seems like it has more head than most guitars.
Custom-made headless electric guitar. Why did you call it Headless Cyber Freak?
Because I just felt like it.
Okay, so I don't know what this is.
It's a guitar, Steve.
Obviously. Also, I didn't realize when this was sent that this looks like somebody made it.
Well, everything is made by someone.
Oh my gosh. Because I saw something similar to this that I thought was just a link from like Alibaba or something.
It might be from Alibaba. It's totally possible. But we are seeing it in a room with rattle cans and stuff around it. But that might be the manufacturing picture of it.
I don't know.
right before it's packaged up. It is a wild, wild concept here. Technically, it's headless in that it doesn't have tuning pegs on the headstock. The tuning pegs are on the bridge. It's using headless hardware, but it has this massive arm going from the lower horn of the body underneath the neck up to the headstock, where it has a massive chunk of material. I don't know if this is wood or it could honestly be molded plastic for all we know.
Oh, I hope it is, because otherwise it's going to be so heavy.
I bet it is some kind of wood. It's got more material on it than a normal guitar. Definitely more material than a headless guitar would normally have. It's a wild shape. You're definitely going to grab eyes if you're on stage with this. Notably, there's a cutout that goes underneath the strings. I'm trying to describe this for the audio listeners at home.
It's kind of like the
audio
like
podcast
it's
listeners.
trying to be a lyre or some kind of like harpy.
There's some sort of
harpity harp.
Weird square step downs on the guitar. Like the playing area of the guitar sits within a cutout tray. You've just got to look at the pictures of it if you're listening to the audio podcast.
They're going to be in the imager. I usually put some like weird message, so it's a little less obvious than it should be. I found it. I found one of these things.
They want
on AliExpress. They want $488.
So this has got to be someone trying to sell one of these brand new on Reverb.
This is like has a little bit different hardware though.
Let me see.
Like it's got a different bridge.
Yeah, it's got like a Kaler on it or something.
Can't zoom in.
It's a wild shape, and it's all white. It's got a white fretboard. How did you even like come to designing this shape? And then it's got, you know
what this looks like? This looks like one of those like Casio, like where they had the nylon strings from like
right,
like a DG1 sort of a thing.
So there's that cutout
DG10
out of the neck at the higher frets. It's on the bass side of the neck that cuts out.
That's a weight relief.
The strings are just hanging out over empty space. Here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I want to see done with this concept.
Okay.
Because they have this giant arm connecting to the headstock and going down to the lower horn.
Mm-hmm.
Float the neck off the body and have it suspended off of that arm. So that like the neck isn't even connected to the main body at the heel. It's only connected at the headstock. You're going to have to do some like carbon fiber trickery to make it stable enough.
That sounds real dangerous.
Right, but
it's real flexy.
But if you do like a carbon fiber thing, you could totally pull that off. That would be an eye-catching trick, to have a guitar where the neck is not connected to the body at all.
All right. I don't know, man. I don't see how that's going to be stable.
If they're going to do it, then might as well do it. No, if they do enough carbon fiber, it would work. It would have to be like a L-beam sort of carbon fiber sort of structure so that it doesn't flex.
Right.
At the minimum.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, it could work, and it would look just as stupid as this.
This is being sold out of Wei Fangxi, China. So maybe this is someone, or maybe someone in China bought one from AliExpress and did some custom work. I don't know. These pictures are just kind of, it's sitting on plastic.
I'm pretty sure this is a factory photo. This is a picture of it in the factory.
This is somebody trying to sell a factory instrument on Reverb.
Right. Which, there's plenty of retailers and builders selling on Reverb. Like, that's not unusual.
Headless cipher.
It's not headless, though. It's got more head than most guitars. They could have given it tuning pegs. Is this appealing to anyone?
No.
Anyone out there, is this appealing to you? I'm waiting to hear your answer.
It's dumb.
It sounds like people think it's dumb. They're making these things. They're trying to sell them. It has 158 watchers, Steve, and this listing has ended.
Somebody bought it. I hope it was Jason USA.
It just says ended. It doesn't say sold.
Oh, that's true. They took it down.
Right.
They sent it to AliExpress.
I want to see someone show up on a stage with one of these. Like imagine.
I want to see one of these get relicked with a humbuckler. Humbuckle.
Do you think if someone, here's a question. If someone saw this and for whatever sick reason, they love the shape, they love the look, they're looking at the features, the bridge, the pickups.
Okay.
And they're like, I want it.
Okay.
Do you think that there's a possibility, personal taste aside, do you think there's a possibility that this is a worthwhile guitar for $850? Well, technically $900 after shipping.
I mean, there's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
Let's give it a chance. I don't know. If someone out there bought one, let me know how it is. What's next, Steve?
What's new, Ryan?
I don't think I have anything new. Do you have anything new other than learning the caged system?
No. So the other thing I was going to say about that, though, real quick,
we're back to it.
This is kind of what's new. Is like I've actually played guitar more in the last 2 weeks than I have in a long time. Part of it's because I finally like been slowly getting more established, but also like I'm not good at okay, I'm going to go on Ultimate Guitar or whatever and find this song, or I'm going to listen to this song over and over and try to learn it or whatever. Like I just haven't been able to get in that kind of headspace for a long time. So I've been playing guitar a lot. That's it. That's what's new with me.
Steve's been playing guitar.
I've just been playing direct, cable into amp.
Cable into amp?
When you got a satellite Gamatron, that's what you do. You just run cable to
You
amp.
got your Gamatron back?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had that back. You lent it out so long ago.
Yeah, I got it back. I actually had to pick it up from satellite. Yeah, I got it back.
There you go. Well, what speaker have you been using?
Just the custom, that custom 12-inch cab I have.
There you go.
So I think it's a little quieter because I don't think it's matched ohms. I think that's supposed to be matched with an 8 ohm speaker. I need to check the specs, but at whatever it's at right now, I actually turned it all the way up the other day, but it's only like 2.8 watts max.
Yeah, it's not going to get terribly loud.
It's probably like annoying other people, but I was pretty comfortable in the room.
Don't you have one of those 5-watt wangs?
I do.
You do? Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. That's twice the wattage, Steve.
Twice the wattage.
You got to go.
Twice as loud.
You got to go 10 times the wattage to get twice as loud, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to get 25 watts?
About, yeah.
Yeah, to double the volume of that.
Yeah.
But headroom.
Headroom's different.
Headroom's different.
I still only run it at like.
Do you get dirty with it?
I can, but I'm really only running it like about 9, 10 o'clock.
That's pretty late at night, Steve.
And then if you dig in, starts to compress.
It's 2.5 watts, but your neighbors are going to complain if you're playing that at 10 o'clock.
Dude, I was playing at like 10 or 11 o'clock the other night, and I don't know, nobody complained.
But where were you on the dial?
The same.
You were playing at 10 o'clock at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, pretty much. Was I? I don't remember.
Is this a good podcast? Are you guys enjoying this? It's your fault for tuning into this. If everyone stopped,
we needed this what's new to be longer because now it just sounds like we're shilling.
If everyone stopped watching this podcast and listening to the podcast, we would be forced to stop doing it. It's your fault that we keep doing this.
That's such a weird way to think about it.
I'm blaming you.
This week's episode is brought to y'all by The Mood.
Y'all. Howdy. Steve's out there in Menifee. Howdy. Y'all want to check out a Chase Bliss?
Go on over to chasebliss.com. Have you made your demo of this yet?
No, I haven't yet. I've spent some personal time playing with it.
The Mood, Steve, hold on. No. The Mood Mark II runs in stereo. You got a Mood. You can run in Trario.
I know.
Are you going to? You better.
I might.
Okay. Go check it out. The Mood, Chase Bliss, The Mood Mark II, chasebliss.com. This episode's also. Are you going to say more about this? Or
I am. I was going to tell you, Steve. I don't have this in for demo. It wasn't sent to me to demo.
But you should make a video anyway.
If I film it, when I film it, it's going to be for my own pleasure because I bought this with my own money because I wanted it.
I know.
So there you go.
All right. This episode's also brought to you by Stringjoy.
That's right.
Crafted in Nashville, Tennessee. Played on stages worldwide. Stringjoy. All right, let's keep going.
That was the shortest sponsorship ever. I feel like we're shorting Stringjoy. Go buy some Stringjoy strings. Please use our code down in the description. HUM. It gets you 10% off. And it lets them know that you came from us, that we sent you over to String Joy. And when they see how many people are buying String Joy because of us, then they're going to be like, oh, I think this is working out. Let's keep this relationship going. So if we lose the String Joy sponsorship, yet again, I'm blaming you. So
they got
pressure's
these,
on.
You got these. These are signatures. They're a classic nickel wound string. They've got the Orbiters, which is
Is that the
coated string?
Yeah, they got coated. They got acoustic.
They got the Broadways, which is a nickel string.
Yeah,
They got the acoustic strings. I don't know what those are called because, let's be honest, acoustic guitars are boring. They got bass strings, but they got the same names as these, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, there you go.
I'm going to pretend that Steve is playing acoustic guitar right now. It put me right to sleep. So boring.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit this. This is the main event. Only 41 minutes and 20 seconds.
Let's talk about this for about 10 minutes and then get to the last ad.
Yeah. This week it was announced that JC Curley, the current Gibson CEO, is moving on to other things, and he's being replaced with Cesar Gurikian.
Is it Cesar or Caesar?
Caesar Gurikian. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name.
I've never tried to say it out loud.
It's like it doesn't matter. Everyone's like, oh, Caesar at Gibson. That's what everyone
Cesar
at Gibson.
Your name matters. You matter. I just don't know anything about you, and I'm probably not going to do the footwork to learn. So
I'm just saying I didn't want to like dwell on the fact that I don't know his name because it's not really what we want.
Right, it's not the important part.
It's making a lot of waves. Some people I've heard say,
is it though?
I've heard some people say that they think this is a big deal. He's been really involved with he's been the chief marketing officer, I think was his title, or no, chief merchant officer. I don't know what that means.
Either do
I don't know
I.
what a merchant officer is. He's
been CMO.
He's been in a lot of their content, meeting Kirk Hammett and they did the Greenie signature model, the Kirk Hammett Greenie artist model, and a lot of stuff like that. So people say that he's been very involved in the company and he's very deserving to be, at least in this case, the interim president of Gibson. I've heard that the interim might be because depending on how the company's bylaws are set up, they are owned by a private equity firm. So the actual full-time president position or whatever has to be confirmed by their corporate overlords.
Yes, the overlords have to get into the mix here.
But the question that we have is, what would you do with Gibson? What would you do
if I was president of Gibson?
If you were president of Gibson.
If I was president of Gibson. What would you do if you were president of Gibson, Steve?
I have an actual answer for this.
All right.
I would start
making Telecasters.
Yeah. I mean, Les Paul's kind of a Telecaster.
Yeah, sure.
It's got one cutaway, just like a Telecaster.
Yeah. It's got two knobs.
It's got four knobs.
But it has two knobs.
Yeah, it has, yes. It has two pickups. Just like it has a bridge.
Yeah.
It's got frets.
It's got frets.
No, I think I would start with, I was looking through I could not find their artist, like their endorsed artist list. I could only find their artist models. They got too many, I don't want to say too many, that sounds mean, but I think they got maybe too many dead people on their artist roster. I know one of the problems that I think Gibson has is they have been a legacy brand for so long and they don't know how to stop being a legacy brand. How many, Tom Kelly, who's a listener of the show, said, because I made the comment, or someone made the comment, and I'm kind of in this train of thought, is why does it feel like every other signature model released by Gibson is a slash?
Right.
And his comment was, well, all of those models sell out. And I'm like, that's fine. Make the slash model. You gotta have legacy. But also
you do have to invest in the future.
I pulled up, I was bouncing around, I was just looking at newer bands, and I go, And maybe like a guy like, was it Jared John Nichols? Is that his name?
I don't know.
He's got the long blonde hair dude. That's not Dovidas. He's got a Gibson. He's got like an Epiphone signature model. Anyway, not the point. Like I was flipping through and I saw that the band Turnstile did a tiny NPR Tiny Desk.
Okay.
And in their NPR Tiny Desk, one of their guitarists is playing a Gibson Firebird. And my comment was, when that video dropped, someone at Gibson should have been watching Tiny Desk already.
Right.
Like there should be someone whose job is just to be keeping a pulse on the music industry. I would assume that this job exists. And they should have been like, oh shit, this band is on Tiny Desk playing a Gibson, and they're pretty hot with the kids.
Right.
And 5 people, a bunch of people should have been calling this band up going like, hey, we saw you playing Gibson on NPR.
What colors do you want?
How, like, can we work something out? Like,
any
let's
weird
do
pickups?
something.
Any weird pickups you want in a thing? Like any weird features? Let's get you a thing and we'll sell.
I'm not even saying it has to be an artist model. Like,
sure.
Do some cross promo, like make something happen. And that's a thing that Philip Carter from 40 Watt, I feel like, people I've just already talked to about this, because a lot of the commentary is like, well, Gibson needs like some kind of, social media where they look like good people. Like, I feel like the
personal touch
for the non-fans, Gibson is this, it's doctors and lawyers buying these products.
It's for the cork sniffers and for the well-to-dos.
Yeah, but Gibson's got a whole thing called like it's called G3 Gibson Guitar Generation or something, and it's all like up and coming musicians, but there's like kids, like people you've never heard of, not like YouTubers and stuff, but it's like a gives back program.
Right.
But it's like these kinds of like non-profit initiatives. They did have one called Gibson Gives Back. But I haven't heard anything about that in probably like 5 or 6 years. So I think there's things like that. The other thing I would do is, I'd probably go through their entire catalog and simplify it, because I think that there's a lack of awareness of some of it, and I think we tend to look at Les Paul standards and things like that. I think the Les Paul standard is now $3,000. I don't think you can really lower prices, but what you could do,
well, I think they could lower prices on a. They could come out with a new model.
They could come out with a new model at a lower price point.
Similar to the standard, and they could call it
the substandard. Ooh.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. The Gibson substandard. Gibson, get on it.
So I mean, but here's my point, right? Like over here, off camera, you've got a Gibson Les Paul Studio.
I do. It's over there.
Gibson Les Paul Studio now, I believe, is $1,699. American made Les Paul.
It's not for playing in a music studio, it's for playing in a studio apartment.
Yeah. Back here you got a Fender Am Pro 2.
Yeah,
right, that's the Am Pro. Somewhere, do you have a US Strat? I don't remember.
I do not have a US Strat. I have a Mexican Strat. I have the Amvin 2 Jazzmaster,
also the Amvin 2
upstairs.
You've got so both of those are like actually higher priced than a current Les Paul Studio.
Okay.
You've got the silver. I guess the Silver Sky's a little cheaper. Like, you have a lot of popular product.
I have a lot of popular guitars.
I don't understand why, and maybe they are, and I just don't see it. Is it happening outside of the circles I'm in? I don't feel like Gibson promotes their product at all.
The young people aren't hot and excited for Gibson right now.
The model that was pointed out to me, again by Tom Kelly, is the Epiphone Prophecy series. It's like $900, and his comment was that the Prophecy series is probably the best, like the highest quality guitar that Epiphone's ever built. He didn't say those words, but that was kind of like the feeling behind it. That it's one of, if not the highest quality guitar Epiphone's ever built. So why aren't here's channels like us,
right,
getting Epiphone Prophecy and say like, hey, I'm going to play this guitar. And then at the end, you're like, if you're on a Fender Player Plus budget, but you want something beefier, this is the guitar for you.
Right.
Like, that's going to move some units, and it's going to get that brand acquainted with
I don't think it's fair to say it's beefier.
Well, it's
Gibson-ier.
It's Gibson-ier. Well, I'm saying like I generally like Les Pauls tend to have a less like trebly tone.
All right. What meat would you compare Fender guitars to? Pork or chicken?
Like some kind of I would
fish. Is it a fish?
I would say like
Gibson is beef. Fender, I think Fender is chicken.
I was gonna say Fender's pork.
You think Fender's pork?
I would say if they were all pork products, Fender is ham, and Gibson is like pork ribs.
If all guitars were pork.
If all guitars were pig products.
We've got new clickbait. If all guitars were pork.
So those are things I would do. I think
Is this a good video?
I just think Gibson really lacks like community presence.
I think the price argument is valid as far as like reaching a new generation, but I think you don't need to have a low price to reach the new generation. You have like young people still drool over expensive guitars. There's all sorts of expensive guitars to drool over, but a lot of them are not drooling over Gibsons. They're drooling over, like a multi-scale, double hand tappy things.
And that's the thing that Gibson probably can never overcome is the fact that for the most part they are a vintage style instrument.
Right.
But just because you're a vintage style, like, okay, it's a vintage style instrument. You know what else was a vintage style instrument? The freaking Fender Mustang. Right. You know who played a freaking Fender Mustang? Kurt freaking Cobain.
Almost
everybody played one.
Almost every vintage, there's only a few quirky Fender models that didn't stand the test of time. Like their flagship guitars have all stood. Yeah. They're all vintage guitars, but they come in new styles. They'll experiment with fretboard radiuses. They'll experiment with different finishing styles and different pickup styles and things like that. And you know what? Gibson does that as well, just not really on the scale, and they don't push it as much. Their flagship identity is a Les Paul in 4 classic colors.
Sure.
That is their core.
And that's fine.
Business model, but that business model's dying because they're the people that buy those things is dying. They need to have and I think they backed away from it hard when they switched from the earlier CEO to JC.
Yeah,
because
Henry J.
There was too much experimentation. There was too many head scratchers. Why are you making this, but you won't make a lemon burst?
Yeah,
Les Paul custom.
You had
whatever.
this whole era where you would go into the store and you'd have a Les Paul Studio Faded,
right,
and then a Les Paul T, and then a Les Paul M, and all of these Gibson products that were all under $1,000, made in the USA. Whatever, but it was just really confusing, and some of them were kind of cheap. That's where I think something like a Studio or a Studio Faded would be really good. If you could put out a Studio Faded at $1,400.
They were doing so many weird things that it I think to the general Gibson fan, it felt like the core product was on the back burner.
Yeah.
And there were quality control issues and things like that. I think they've reestablished themselves with JC. Mm-hmm. They've reestablished themselves as really caring about the core product, which is it's easy to trash on Gibson. People love trashing on Gibson for various reasons. I think they've done a great job the past couple of years of re-cementing the core branding of Gibson, the core concept of the fandom, doing fan service. They're doing what I wish Star Wars would do, just getting back to the nitty gritty.
Right.
I think there's room now though for them to have a modern line.
Yeah.
For them to push it and to be here you go. Here is a $4,000 drool worthy, modern guitar that the 18-year-olds would drool over, and you get Polyphia one in their hands and stuff like that. You get you get all your you get them in the hands.
Guys, right.
You get your guys. You get your modern guys that the kids care about. You send one to Stevie T.
Oh my gosh.
You do finishes.
That's literal kids, right?
Yeah, children. You know,
He's a children's entertainer.
Yeah, he's a children's entertainer.
I think that's a tough crowd, but I think you can go young without going modern. I think there's ways to achieve that. And again, it's about selective. When I went through their artist lineup, they've got like maybe one or two artists in their artist lineup under the age of 30.
Right.
Most of their, like one of their big artists, this is fun, kind of goofy to think about. Billy Joe Armstrong's 51.
Right.
He's older than Joe Bonamassa.
I didn't realize I was so close to him in age. No, well, Joe Bonamassa is like eternally 18, right?
Yeah.
He's a forever child.
But yeah, I hadn't thought about it from that perspective of, well, okay, maybe they spent the last like 5 or so years re-cementing the core.
Right.
My kind of takeaway is more along the lines of, okay, you've rebuilt this core. You're putting out models now that your core fans are into. There is something to be said. I heard this said or read this that, well, American entertainment in particular, America is very tribal. Are you a Fender person or a Gibson person? Are you a bass player?
I don't think guitarists are that. I think some are, but I think like these days, I think most guitarists want variety in the quiver.
Well, like the comment was like, well, there are some people who love hating Gibson more than they love Ibanez or Fender or whatever. And to an extent, I think that's true. But I think I think a lot of what's built into that is the, Gibson Slash model, the Gibson Paul Stanley or Ace Frehley or whatever model, the Gibson blues player that I don't know anything about because he died in 1970 model. These guys these artist models that are artists that like no one's ever, no one really knows who they are. Well, I should say, like, no one I should say, like, what I mean, like,
I ever have a guitar brand,
no one under the age of 30 knows who they are.
If I ever have a guitar brand, like, all our signature models are going to be for fictitious people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make up a person.
The Oscar Wilde signature guitar.
No,
fictitious people, not even like real dead people. The George Jetson model.
Right. No, I'm going to make up my own characters.
You're going to make your own characters.
And be like, this is this guy.
Yeah.
And you want what this guy likes? This is your guy. And it's going to like, I'm going to generate, an AI persona that goes with this guitar. And it's like, you can just make up the person and be like, oh, they love creamy blues licks, so this is their guitar of choice, Yeah. They love driving around the country in their beat up old truck, so you want to get this one from them, like.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I think it
works for Nintendo.
I like the Gibsons that I own. I don't really have much to say about Caesar. I don't know a lot about him.
As long as he doesn't screw up, it really doesn't matter.
Other than the rumors and innuendo, I do kind of agree with you. I think they've gone back and forth. When they did the whole robot tuner thing,
right?
They should have only put those. They had at the time a model called the Gibson HP or the Gibson High Performance. I would like to see, and maybe they have, because they went from the high performance to what they called the Gibson Modern Les Paul.
Those systems were so clunky.
But it's fine for like a high performance model. Like if you want to test it out, that was the mistake with that whole lineup. And I've said this before, the mistake isn't that they tried to do robot tuners. The mistake is at that time, there were only 3 Les Pauls in their entire lineup that didn't come with robot tuners.
I remember going to the NAMM where they introduced those. Yeah. And it was a room full of people sitting around trying to get the guitars to tune themselves, and like most of the time they wouldn't. True. Most of the time they wouldn't tune themselves. Yeah. And you're sitting there like, all right, I'm not getting a great first impression here.
Yeah, it was tough. They should have only, like I said, put it on like the high performance series. I'd like to see them bring that back, kind of with something with like a more modern neck heel.
I go back
compound
and forth
radius,
feeling like locking tuners are too bulky for me. And then there's this gigantic plastic chunk.
You can get low profile locking tuners.
But this giant plastic robotic chunk that the battery in it, like attached to a headstock, was not appealing to me at all. And you talk about a misstep.
Yeah.
We're talking about putting robo-tuners on guitars made by a brand that caters to snobby, stuck-up, wealthy people.
Right.
That think they know everything about music and guitars. Like, that is their core audience. Like, disagree with me if you want. You might love Gibson. You don't feel like you fit that description, but I guarantee you Gibson headquarters has some sort of vision wall of a vision board of their ideal customer. And it is someone who thinks that they know everything.
Gibson
and who was
trying to
thinks they're way above. I bet a ton of Gibson players think that they can tune by ear. They don't even want to use tuner pedals.
I mean, I know a lot of people in general. What I was going to say is Gibson was trying to use AI to end your job of tuning your guitars. Yeah, like I said, my take is you gotta be smart. I don't think we're gonna see a Gibson, Olivia Rodrigo melody maker anytime soon.
Why not?
But I think they gotta find a smart, functional. Oh, the one young person on their lineup is Marcus King, which Marcus King's legit. But if you don't listen to blues, you're not catching Marcus King.
Right.
They gotta find someone who's like, how about do any of those Greta Van Fleets got a signature Epiphone? They probably should.
Sure.
I don't really listen to them, but they seem like maybe they do. Maybe and that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe they do, and we just don't know about it because they don't. Who's promoting this stuff?
Hey, you can't afford Jimmy Page anymore. Get Greta Van Fleet. You're all set. Here's what I would do if I was president of Gibson.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I feel like I've been talking for like 10 straight minutes.
Longer than that, Steve, like 20.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
I would go back to what I was saying. I would establish a somewhat experimental modern line. Mm-hmm. I would, with the aim of coming up with models that will last, not just like, oh, let's make a reverse flying V or like an SG in a weird finish or something like that. No, like I would introduce a line of guitars, an SG, Les Paul, and maybe like a V, all stocked with Evertunes. I would do, lines that have experimental colors, try to go after the PRS crowd, like try to get, people who want flamey green bursts into turquoise and pink and things like that.
I think they still have a lot of those kinds of things.
But
I don't know that they're really, promoted.
I'd experiment with modern materials like carbon fiber supported necks, things like that. Like they would
carved carbon fiber tops.
They're like experiment with a modern line, multi-scale stuff, headless stuff. The jokes write themselves. You make a headless Les Paul. Most Les Pauls want to be headless anyways. Yeah, come out with it. Come out with headless stuff. Experiment with new shapes, but it's its own subdivision of Gibson. Mm-hmm. Its sub brand becomes identifiable as it's not Epiphone, it's not Gibson, but it is Gibson. And it's not budget. These are $2,000 to $4,000 guitars.
It's what you're talking about now it's like the Music Man custom shop version of the Murphy Lab.
Right.
Like that's actually really interesting.
They have Murphy Lab, which is like the pinnacle of the cork sniffery, make the fanboys happy sort of thing. You got to push into a modern direction. And me, like I'd come up with some sort of Firebird that's got single coils and a Bixby on it for doing surfy stuff with it. And it'd be in Relic Seafoam or something like that. God. But like have a division that is the skunkworks of different stuff. And if it stands the test of time, then you bring it into your standard line. then you bring it in other lines, but it's just as high quality. It's a separate brand. So like the people who are protective of the classic nature of Gibson don't feel like their food is touching.
Yeah.
They don't feel like it's encroaching on what they're doing. It's a place to play. It's a place to experiment and try to reach a new target market. Like come out with stuff that has specs that new players will drool after. It doesn't all have to be about signature models and who's playing it, because if you make stuff that's drool worthy to the right people, you're going to find out that people are going to buy it because they're going to want to play it.
You're going to want to drool.
They're going to want to drool all over it. That's what I would do. Also, if I was president of Gibson, I would just stop making Les Pauls altogether for like 4 or 5 years and make people want it. Willy Wonka it. Like, oh, the factory shut down. They're not making Les Pauls anymore. And then when you start making them again, everyone's going to buy a Les Paul.
Can we stop making the SG this time?
We
already stopped making the Les Paul.
Let's do it again. And then everyone's going to like, oh, you got to get one before the shutdown, the pre-models.
I mean, that's what's happening. That's what's happening with Mesa.
Oh, really? People buying up the Mesas?
People are buying pre-Gibson Mesas, even though all Gibson basically did, as far as anyone can tell, is like they're skimming the top and that's it. Like
right.
They didn't actually do anything to the company.
It's not like the headstock's going to break off of your Mesa now.
Oh, my gosh. You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, let's do this last ad, and then we'll decide who is winning a $25 gift certificate.
This was sent
to
by
the retailer of their choice.
David Santander. Where's the words?
The only reason I picked this is because you can't say cheese without making you smile, and you can't listen to ukulele or play the ukulele without smiling.
This is a cheesy original cheddar cheese model, solid mahogany soprano with pearloid fretboard, number 3292. Free shipping. Good God, it needs free shipping. This is $900.
I know.
In Tokyo, Japan.
I have no idea if it truly commands that price, but just looking at it makes me happy. This is such a fun, charming little guy. And it doesn't look cheap. It is, that pearloid fretboard there is classy.
I'm going to disagree with you because I think all ukuleles look cheap.
It's got,
to an extent.
It's got a bridge saddle that is compensated for intonation, Steve. This is
that what's going on there? Okay.
This is better than your standard run-of-the-mill ukulele. And it's hilarious and charming and cute. I would never pay that much for a ukulele. If I had a $1,000 budget essentially for a ukulele, I'm sure this would not be it. But damn, I love looking at it. I think it's adorable. If there was a $150 version, I'd buy it right up. That's all I got to say about this thing.
I don't have any take on this.
I would play.
Ukulele is not my thing.
I would play a guitar that was this exactly. You make a guitar one, I'll play it. And I don't even like acoustic guitars.
If you got that guitar and you churched it, you could only play like "Oh Happy Day,"
River Life,
"Come On Get Happy."
I thought we were just doing cheesy songs, stuff that's happy.
Oh, I was thinking just happy.
You're just thinking happy songs.
Yeah, it could
got
be
that joy, joy, joy,
cheesy
joy
songs,
down in my heart.
You can only do Pharaoh.
It's all youth group songs.
Yeah. All right. I don't got anything else for this. I don't know if you do.
I don't.
I think the AVC is real obvious this week.
You think so?
I mean, I don't know, man. Do you not think it is?
I bet you think it's the Bongcaster.
I do think it's the Bongcaster.
You're right.
What do you think it is?
Yeah, you're right. It's the Bongcaster.
Yeah, it's the Bongcaster.
Yeah. Congratulations. Go use that.
Congratulations to who sent that in again?
Use that Nicholas Lancaster. Use that $25 gift certificate that Steve is going to line you up with to go buy yourself a real nice hacky sack.
Oh my gosh.
Get a real nice hacky sack, like a premium one. With like the good beans in there. Don't settle for a cheap Spencer's Gifts hacky sack. Get the good one. And you know what? You might have enough left over to get yourself some nice devil sticks, or like one of those glass orbs that you could like go like that and like spin it around your hand like David Bowie. People at the mall do. Do people still do that at the mall?
I was trying to talk to someone about Labyrinth the other day and they were like super confused about what I was talking about.
How old were they?
like my age.
And they didn't know about
in the
Labyrinth?
30s. Yeah.
Well, that's probably right on the edge.
The song.
Like people my age definitely should know about Labyrinth. People your age, that's starting to get a little bit iffy.
Yeah, I was surprised he didn't know. He knows about Conan
The Barbarian?
the Barbarian.
But he doesn't know about Labyrinth.
Yeah.
All right.
This song was sent by Kate Ruckus, who says, Greetings, Earthlings. You guys played one of my band's songs a couple months ago, but I heard on a recent episode that you're running low on new music. We're always going to be running low on new music, folks. So if you have an original recording, send it in. Prefer MP3 attached.
Yes.
It
doesn't have to be an MP3. It can be any file format that is easily usable within Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, so like MP3, what's MP3,
Wave,
AAC, Wave.
Right. Like if you can't send it
MIDI
within your email, then send a Dropbox link or something. So just make it so that I can download the file, because otherwise I have to like do sketchy extraction things if you send like sometimes I have to buy your guys' songs off of Bandcamp and stuff, and like that's a win for you, but it bums me out for me.
You're just doing that with Patreon money, like whatever.
I don't go. It's $1. I don't go through the trouble of like dinging our budget. Like I don't open up the thing when I do that. I'm just like, I guess I'm spending $1 to get this.
All right,
done today.
last one I sent you was called Gunny Sack Blues, which had more of a psychobilly vibe. So this time I'll send you one of our ska songs. This song is called Get Weird. We are a 3-piece punk band from Cambridge, Ontario called the Axe. It's 3 X's. Identals, the Accidentals. Thanks for being awesome. This is Get Weird.
Out of place when everyone is. My answer when I question if I can keep doing this, 'cause all these years are on me like I always feared. You wanna comfort the distance, then you gotta get weird. So anxiety, socially inept, social cues for currency, I still be in debt, just can't seem ever get enough. Out of place when everyone is. My answer when I question if I can keep doing this, 'cause all these years are on me like I always feared. You wanna comfort the distance, then you gotta get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get I love it.
I want to take this song, drop it on the ground twice, so I can pick it up.
Pick it up. Thanks for sending it. I enjoyed listening to it.
Yeah,
I like its sincere, loose, rough nature. I like how unpolished it is.
So I was listening to it, and the first time it got to like the guitar solo, I was like, why is this? And I was like, oh, maybe this is like part of like their their take on punk aesthetic is, you know, they're going to have these deconstructionist guitar solos. And then the second time it happened, I realized the song's called Get Weird.
Yeah.
And literally weird. It's like, the vocal line was like, let's get weird, followed by this completely atonal guitar solo. And I was like, you're doing it.
They're doing it. They're getting weird.
All right, that's it.
Bye, everyone.
Stay grounded.